We are going to begin the memorial service for Mr. Gregg Robinson. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place in the silent mode at this time or turn it completely off. I'd also like to welcome anybody via live stream. On behalf of the family, thank you. Services will be conducted by Rabbi Pinchas Eisenbach.
We are assembled today with our friends in the darkness that has fallen upon them. We raise our voices to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find this in God who preserves from destruction all that is good. In the word of Ecclesiastics, for everything is a season. We're going to read Kehelas, which is Ecclesiastic very soon. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. We're here today to pay final tribute to Craig. Who was Craig? The first time I met Craig, I want to tell you, he was a very interesting guy. They told me that Craig doesn't speak, you know. I said, okay, we'll see. So I went to his bed, you know, and I said, Craig, you're a mensch. You have a shein and punim, means you have a beautiful face. Oh, he started to smile. I said, are you in pain? You know. And the nurse looks at me, which language you speak to him? I said, he's a nice Jewish mensch. He said, what is a mensch? A person who's kind. It's not religious, it was accomplished. So who was Craig? Craig was a Renaissance man in every sense of the word. He was a gifted writer, artist, and musician, while he was always being talented chemist and lifelong learner. He was a wonderful father. I want to tell you, he loved the children. I can see over here too, all the grandchildren, Elizabeth, all of them, you know. Anyone that came to him, everyone, guess what? Everyone was his family. And that's what I liked about him. His children always got so happy when daddy came home. That meant they can play time. Sometimes that meant building things in the yard. He let them do whatever they want, as long as they're happy. Wonderful jungle gym with the help of Oliver and the girls next door. He didn't discriminate, you know. He invited everyone. Didn't matter who they were. A few years later, he built a wonderful tree house that was used for many years. He and the kids also made a big, wonderful model train town. He was awarded for his writing skill. He was able to turn a series of events into a wonderful story. He even wrote a story for his granddaughter, Isabella. Craig had a talent for art, many forms, a sketch. He did watercolors, beading, and stained glass. His eclectic taste in music and movies was amazing. He could easily move from Dr. John Stravinsky to the Rolling Stones, followed by a tune from annoying music. You know, he was that type, you know. So his move taste traveled from the original Samuel to pen 9, the outer space or film version of Shakespeare play. He was able to maintain friendship all the way back to his childhood. And watching them together made a realization that still had its childlike joy with others. Gregg's favorite film was 7 Samuel, and he had many favorite dumb movies, which is okay. You know why? Because he showed, doesn't matter, dumb, whatever it is, as long as the kids are happy. He was happy. And that's called a mensch. Simply because they were both awful and earned and adored good comedy, the classical radio routines of Bob and Ray movies, Fields and the Marx Brothers, which was a long time, And if someone watched it, believe me, he was better than the movies today, and he had good taste. As a young man, Gregg was a musician who played bass, guitar, instruments. His daughters told him that Dad played bass, clarinet on a record that was late, sampled by Jay-Z. Sometimes I never learned from Gregg because he didn't brag about it. He was a quiet guy, musician. He was a brilliant writer, and his line from the story of his expressing Gregg loved and long time for connection better than anything I can tell you. Not only that, the world was profligate with a beauty only if you stopped to look, only if you had someone to share with it. And not only that, guess what? Gregg was awarded, he was a patent, and he liked music. Why is music important in Judaism? You know why? In the Bible. In the Bible, in the book of Exodus of Egypt, there are empty spaces. Many people ask, what's going on? And soon too, in the end of the Bible, we're going to finish it, New Year's is next year, in this time at night, and we're starting the new Bible, and guess what? Right before we finish the Bible, there are empty spaces. You know what empty spaces means? In Judaism, there are two types of songs. There's a rhythm, a song, no words. Or there's a song, oh God bless America, or say, what is the difference? A empty space means love, compassion, kindness. In Yiddish, it's called enigma, song. You can always continue. He never finished it. He's singing it upstairs. So this is why he's singing upstairs all the beautiful songs. Now, I just want to say something. I was looking in the Bible. What can I say a eulogy about him? He had a good heart. And soon we're going to finish the Pirkei Avot, Father of Ethics. In the time of the Romans, the Jewish rabbis came together. How can we live together? Life is tough. Like nowadays, it's not so simple. So, when you have 4 or 5 rabbis, you have 10 different opinions. So, Father of Ethics, chapter 2, he says as follows. When the rabbis came together, they said, what is the easy way we can live and help each other and help the community? So Rabbi Elazar said, a good eye, an odd attitude and benevolence towards others. Then Rabbi Yeshua said it's not sufficient enough. Chovatov, a good friend. Why? A good friend being acquiring, maybe can help him. Then Rabbi Yosef said, good friend is okay, not bad, but you can do better. A good neighbor. Why a good neighbor? A good neighbor is even more influential than a good friend because of his close proximity. One has more opportunity to learn from his good behavior, so they can help each other. Then the other rabbi said, Aroya Sanoilad, which means one who considers the outcome of the deed. This does not refer to the prophetic foresight, but one who foresees the consequences of the action. Then Rabbi Elazar said, I'll tell you, you're all correct. You're right, and I'm right. But you know what's most important? Leif Tov. What does Leif Tov mean? Leif Tov means a good heart, a good soul. A good heart symbolizes the emotion and desire that are the root of every endeavor, aspiration, spiritual tendency, achievement. Thus, the term Leif Tov includes all the stimuli that leads people towards goodness, provide they obey, dictate their noble instincts. Gregg was that type. And why is Leif Tov important in Judaism? Leif Tov, numerology, equals to 49. And that what does 49 mean? A good heart. Why a good heart? Because when someone has a good heart, it can help everyone. Doesn't matter who they are. And this is the idea of Judaism. Then when we come together, none of our religious words, like for example, you go to the temple, you see 7 candles. What's the idea? Why do I mention candles? Because light represents the soul. And many people have different interpretation, but I found a beautiful interpretation. There are 2 types of Jews. There's Jewish people that are spiritual, on the left side, the 3 candles, and then on the right side, mundane, you know. But Gregg was the middle candle. It didn't matter who they were. He was able to work. He liked music, he liked comedy, he liked jokes, he liked to help people. He was not embarrassed. He was able to work with everyone. He was a pattern, and everyone admired him. And this is why, remember, Craig, you see the beautiful 2 candles? The candles represents the soul of a person, and you're going straight to heaven because it's not our religious, it's what you accomplish. Everyone has the Psalm 23 in English. I will say it in Hebrew and then we'll say it in English. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסור, בינו דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלה בגיא צל מוות לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך עמו ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררו, דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Why is it important, Psalm 23? You know why? All religions say it. The Catholic, the Irish, all of them, the Italian, they all borrow that from us. You know why? There's a beautiful sentence. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. You know what thy rod means in Hebrew? I have something to lean on. You know who I can lean on? I have my beautiful wife, you know, Diane Robinson, children, Oliver Robinson, Lizzie Robinson, Gwen Robinson, and beautiful granddaughter Isabella, who goes all over, sister Marcy, Henry Pomerantz, loved ones, Melanie Pagan, Susan Brinkley, nieces, nephews, and many older friends. And what is thy rod and thy staff? Look at my beautiful tribe, God. Look what I accomplished. And this is why we say it. So let's say it together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of the righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk to the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou hast prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There's a beautiful poem which befits, birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing, from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity, and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offensive to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief and understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat, until looking backward overhead, we see that victory lies not at the same high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death, to life of everlasting. Before I continue, I know that some family members, if they like to say a few words, please come up and...
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come. And aren't you grateful that the football game is at night? I think Gregg had something to do with that. I don't know. As the rabbi said, Gregg was a Renaissance man. Yes. when you asked for information about Gregg's life, that was what came to me, because he was a musician. That's how we met. He was an amazing bassist, but he also played saxophone, clarinet, guitar, recorder, pretty much anything he picked up he could play. And I was surprised when I found out that he actually read like books for fun. I hadn't dated anyone that had read for pleasure. I said, "You read Hemingway? You read Shakespeare?" He said, "Well, I was an English major in college." I went, "Oh, okay, this is interesting." Then I found out that he was working on his master's in chemistry. Okay, so music, English, scientist, interesting. First time I went to his apartment, over his couch he had a giant, like school size, high school size, periodic chart. I said, "Well, that's nice artwork." He said, "Yeah, I had to memorize that whole thing, so I made up a song." And I think it went down the columns instead of across, so that made it more interesting. And please do not ask me to sing it because, yeah, I'm not a scientist. As he unfolded the story of his life, I found out that he had led a pretty exciting life. I was, as Joe would say, a cake eater from the suburbs. And I led a very sheltered life. Gregg led a very exciting life in the city. And he didn't ever forget anything that happened in his life. He was able to tell me stories of his childhood that made me laugh so hard I was in tears. He had the tale of the art gum erasers when all the kids were breaking up the art gum erasers in elementary school and sticking them in their ears or their noses. And yeah, that was exciting. I said, "People did that?" He said, "Yeah, we didn't do that in the suburbs." The kid that, when Gregg was a patrol boy, there was Omar rolled across Foster Avenue. Or is it a street? Whatever. But yeah, Gregg had to take care of that. And then Omar's torture was all the patrol boys got to throw basketballs at him. So yeah, it was the 60s. I'm still a teacher. We don't do those things. But yeah, we'd be on the phone in, all hours of the night, and I'd be crying because I was laughing so hard. His stories didn't end in his childhood. He happened to go down to Chicago to buy shoes during the 1968 Democratic Convention. And yeah, that was a bad time for you young'uns, look it up. But I think, didn't he get hit with a billy club? Yeah, it was a bad time. Gregg lived in many places. He did a semester abroad in Europe. He had fabulous stories about people laughing at his French. I believe it was Lynn, Massachusetts. He worked in the shipyards for a while, and also in Oakland, and Beloit was where he went to college. And he has a group of friends, and I'm sure you guys are all out there, not there, but on the live stream. And he was close friends with them for his whole life, and they would travel from place to place. But Gregg always came back to Chicago. He was the only one that came back. They all ended up in various places. I'm not sure why he always came back to Chicago. For me, it's the best place to live. But anyway, after we were married, we went on 2 trips out west, road trips, driving, just 2 people. 4 weeks long, and we had a blast. We visited all the friends that had moved to different places, and it was great for me to discover the West because I had only been East. And it was all about experiences and a lot of laughing. But the best was when we had our children. And the man just became even more happy. Like Rabbi said, the kids were always so happy when Daddy came home because that meant time for fun. Mom's not so fun. I clean up and eat your vegetables and stuff. But it was fun. And Gregg was so patient when we were going through the pictures. There were so many pictures of Gregg teaching you guys how to do various things. And not just you guys. The kids in the neighborhood also got to enjoy learning how to use a hammer and a saw and build things. He loved to build things. As Rabbi said, he made a jungle gym. He made a tree house. The kids made a big model train. It took up the whole back room. It was fine. And he also, for youth Stooges fans, he made a shower for the girls that was just pipes, like when the Three Stooges were plumbers. And they sat under there with their parasols, and it was adorable. And he did these things, it just popped into his head because he was so smart and so creative. I should have numbered my pages, and I should have typed it out instead of my scribbling. The Treehouse, the Three Stooges, okay. So, well, I guess you can see that he was a very interesting man. Life was full of laughter and joy for many years with him, and I am eternally grateful for all that he gave me and to our wonderful children. And honestly, I'm sure he's very proud of you guys because you have been amazing through all of this, and he will definitely be missed by all. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. As a kid, I was always very excited for my father to come home. You never knew what he was going to have with him, whether it would be computers or fireworks or dry ice or some cookies or candy. It was always something cool. He built us awesome things like a tree house and jungle gym and the sprinkler that my mom was just talking about, where you could just keep piping and going around in circles. And of course, there was the potato cannon. He let us have dangerous fun, and that's what kids needed. He gave us a fantastic childhood. He was a sweet and loving man. He was the smartest person I've ever known, and he was always more than happy to share any skill or knowledge that he had. He loved to laugh and make everyone around him laugh. I can't count the amount of times that he made me laugh so hard that I cried or spit out a drink or milk came out of my nose at the dinner table. I found a quote that said, "I believe that what we become depends on what our fathers teach us at odd moments. When they aren't trying to teach us, we are formed by little scraps of wisdom." And that was my dad. He was a gentle and kind soul, and he will be greatly missed.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. So, as a kid, your parents really just shape your whole world. They take care of you in every way imaginable. They seem to know everything. They seem able to do everything. And my dad really was able to do and knew everything. As you grow up, you realize your parents really are human. They're not some like godlike being. And then their accomplishments just become even more impressive. I was incredibly lucky to have such a smart, strong, and creative father who really lived up to my view of him as a child. Dad was the smartest man I knew. Not quite omniscient, but as close to it as a human could get, I would say. He knew enough about any topic I wanted to talk about that I believed he was omniscient. He was my own personal encyclopedia, my Google before Google existed. On the rare occasion he didn't know what I was seeking, he didn't have the answer, he would definitely help me find those answers. He was able to create anything he put his mind to. He drew, he painted, he built us the now infamous jungle gym and treehouse, Halloween decorations, created the whole model train village on our back porch. The potato cannon really stood out for me. I kept thinking about that. And he got us like the bow and arrows and stuff. That was fun, the blow darts. Not to mention, this man could play any instrument you put in front of him. Absolutely wild. One of my favorite things was that he would just make up songs about anything. Be like Smokey, the family dog, our baby blankets, just like one of us walking into the room, Dad would sing about it. Growing up, we had dinner together as a family pretty much every night. These are easily my favorite memories. Dinner meant it was time to talk about our day, make each other laugh, and take part in one of Robinson's favorite family pastimes, which is eating. I remember having friends over, and they would say, like, oh, you guys do this every night? You get together as a family every night? And we said, yeah, like, when do you guys talk about your day with your family? When do you make each other laugh so hard you cry? Like, what do you mean your dad doesn't do the injury report? Like, what? And then at dinner we got to hear infamous stories from Dad's youth, the myths of Dad's youth. Rolling a neighborhood kid down the street in a trash can. That was a favorite of mine. Running out the door with like a piece of cheese or a hot dog because the family dog escaped and he was running down the street in Chicago trying to get the dog. Or when he got to visit Frank Zappa's house where there was a horse buried under the floor. But around the dinner table, Dad showed us what was really important in life: family, happiness, and food. I didn't truly come to appreciate a lot of the gifts I inherited from my dad until I was older. He made sure I knew I was loved, smart, and beautiful, and capable of anything. Things like strength and resilience definitely came later in my life. I'd attribute these qualities to tools I picked up from my dad. I learned how to escape into books or music, how to create something to get rid of some nervous, anxious energy, or how to just be content being with my family and friends. The greatest gift has to be our sense of humor, I would say. When Dad's dad, when Biggie passed away, I remember he said that he really enjoyed seeing Biggie's sense of humor in all of us. And I really love seeing it in Isabella already. It's wild. That's just genetics, apparently. The Robinson genes are strong. Over the last week or so, a lot of people have told me how proud my dad is of me. I really appreciate it, but I know. You could just see it in his smile and how he would look at you. I just hope he knows how proud we are of him. He was a lot stronger than he thought. He was easily the smartest man ever and just hilarious. I know he will be missed, but it's in the little things where I think of him. I know he's not gone. Where I hear a song that he would sing along to and I can hear him singing. When I make something and I know Dad would have done it this way or whatever. And when I learn better how the world works, when I understand just life better, Dad's with me. And when I make people smile. So thank you guys all for coming. Thank you for sharing time and your love for us and my dad.
Thank you all for coming. I'm going to read something from Susan Brinkley, who is my dad's very best friend and his girlfriend, and it's just really beautiful. So bear with me. I'm going to read this and then something afterwards. 1 second. I was prepared, now I'm not. Okay. So, for Gregg, from Susan Brinkley. Sometimes during your months in hospitals and nursing homes, it seemed important to tell the aides and nurses who you were. He's a musician, I'd say. He's a writer. He's a chemist. He's a grandpa. He loves physics and history and theology and geology. He's the smartest and funniest person you'll ever meet, and he misses his cat. I tried to summarize you. An impossible try, an impossible man. Every person who loved you has their own Gregg Robinson. My thought, Ghost Adventures, could benefit from a monkey sidekick, and there ought to be a remake of the 1968 biker movie, The Hellcats. only this time with segues. You could explain how a molecule changes a medicine, but you couldn't figure out a smartphone. You were my mad scientist. You were my dearest friend. But that's enough for me, Gregg. Too often I tried to comfort you by talking when you needed to be heard. So as a parting gift, I'm going to step aside and let you speak for yourself. So Gregg wrote, there are 24 people alive at any one time whose job it is to justify the sanctity of the world to God. They don't know who they are, and they only find out the moment they die. Just in that split second before darkness gathers, God comes and tells them that they were one of his chosen ones, that their entire lives were prayers without their even knowing it. All their joys and sorrows. Sorry, I tried. All their joys and sorrows, and curses and despair. He heard every word. Oy. You wonder about the look on their faces when they find out. I might be the one, but you might be the one. And he continues. I love the idea of God standing at his workbench, screwing the pieces of life together. I see him working away, while Lucifer, he wasn't the devil yet, leans against the doorway with his bowling ball at his feet, looking on impatiently. Come on already, you know you're putting way too much work into this. Why don't you just make a couple of people, a few animals for them to eat, and leave it at that? And no one's even going to notice all the details. No, God says, finishing up a particular batch of lichens. Someday they'll notice. Someday, when they don't even believe in me anymore, they'll notice. And then their jaws will drop. Another passage. Now he saw as he walked. Now he remembered. The colors of the leaves reminded him of the old box of watercolors, the little gem-like palettes named Indian Red, Burnt Sienna, Alizarin Sienna, Ochre, Gall, Beautiful and Sad. Then fallen leaves crunched under their feet, delicate bones, and he stopped and picked one up, twisted, red and brown, exquisite, and like a snowflake, different from all the others. The world was profligate with beauty if only you stopped to look, and if only you had someone to share it with. Everywhere we look, we're drowning in the miraculous. And this is from Susan. To the family who loved Gregg first and best, and to the scattered community of Gregg's friends, thank you for sharing him. May he all find peaceful hearts as we navigate a life without the boundless mind. Sorry, my phone's ringing up. And may we sometimes let ourselves drown in the miraculous. And Alice, go find your dad. That's from Susan. Okay. And here's mine. There's no way I can eloquently say this or put into words how much I love you, but I'm going to try my best. You always pointed out my failure to see what was right in front of me by saying, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. And I could say the same about you, and how strong and influential of a person you were. I feel that I'm losing a part of myself, but I know that you're always with me. You've taught everything you've taught me to be open-minded, critical, constantly questioning the world with a healthy dose of cynicism. but I will miss the teachings and never-ending knowledge. You had the answer to everything, even my silliest of questions. You were the walking encyclopedia. Your intelligence pushed me to go farther in academia than I ever thought was possible for me, and I hope I'm making you proud, even though you won't be there for my graduation. And although you know that I'm really screwing this up. Sorry, guys. And although you taught me a lot, there's one thing that you taught me without your immediate awareness, or that I would refer to as a snake that would have bit you in this scenario. And that's how to persevere and be strong. You might not have felt that most of the time, but at your lowest, you showed your strength, unmatched by most. You were the strongest person I've ever known. I don't think that most people would have fought like you did in the end. I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, for making me the person I am today, and for giving me the most beautiful and supportive family I could have ever asked for. And I want you to know that I'm finally making those greens that you were asking for. I love you, Dad.
Yeah, in a minute. Before we do the song, I just want to mention that next week in this time is going to be Rosh Hashanah. And the reason I'm mentioning, we usually use the apple for a sweet year. Because in Yiddish there's an expression, the apple fällt nicht weit von der Bäume, which means the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Craig was the tree. He was a tough cookie, hard, but guess what? The tree and the apple in Judaism is still sweet. So I wish you a happy and a healthy new year, that you should have a sweet year, because he was a wonderful guy. And now, before we're going to continue, we're going to have our friend Harley Ludwig from Arizona to sing a beautiful song. So we'll wait for him.
Hello from Tucson.
From Tucson. Okay,
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona. Try to bring the weather in Chicago.
Yeah, it's pretty hot here.
Okay.
Greg and I used to play a lot of music together, and there's a song by Buddy Miller, and I'd like to do it in his honor, hopefully. There's a sorrow in the wind, blowing down the road I've been. I can hear it cry while shadows steal the sun. But I cannot turn back now, come too far to turn around. And there's still a race ahead I must run. I'm only halfway home, I got a journey on, till I find the things that I've lost. I've come a long, long road, still I've got miles to go. I got a wide, wide river to cross. I have stumbled, I have strayed, you could trace the tracks I've made. All along the memories my heart recalls. But I'm just a refugee, won't you say a prayer for me? 'Cause at times even the strongest soldier falls. I'm only halfway home, I got a journey on, till I find the things that I've lost. I've come a long, long road, yet still there's a miles to go. I got a wide, wide river to cross. I've got a wide, wide river to cross. Adios, amigo.
At the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember you. At the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, we will remember you. At the opening of the buds and rebirth of spring, we will remember you. At the shining of the sun and the warmth of summer, we will remember you. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember you. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember you. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember you. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we will remember you. As long as we live, we will always remember you, and you should be a positive interceder. And as you say in English, a good to better. And since it's exactly a week before Rosh Hashanah, so you wanted to finish your year, and you're going straight to the Garden of Eden. And remember to pray for us and for your children, for all of us, that next time you invite me, well, we can make a l'chaim, we can make a toast. Would you please rise for the Kelmoli, and then we'll say the Kaddish. And whoever cannot stand up, it's okay, you can sit. Eile molei rachamim, shochem b'meroמים, hametzei menuchon nechono, tachat kafei השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים כדרכיה, מזהירין את נשמת גרשון בן ראובן שלח לעולמו בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים בעד הכרת נשמתו בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. לכן בעל רחמים יסיר בצדק כנפיו לעולמים וידחור בצחור החיים את נשמתו אדוני ונחלתו וינוח בשלום המשכבו ונאמר אמן. On the bottom of Psalm 23, Kel Molei Rachamim. Let's say it together. El Molei Rachamim, O God, full of compassion, thou dwellest on high, and perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Gregg Robinson, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bound of eternal life, be God's possession, and may he repose in peace. And let us say Amen. And then on the last page we have the Kadesh. Let's say the Kadesh. Yizgadal ve'yizkadash shmei rabah ve'yalma divrach yerusei ve'yamlich machutzei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chay lechol beit Yisrael מעגל וזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ומיום הים. יתברך וישתבח ויספאר ויסרומם ויסנשא ויסהדר ויסעלה ויסהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תברכתה ונחמתה דאמירם בימה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה משמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שער לציון וירושלים. May God comfort you between the mourners and Zion of Israel, and there should be no more sorrow in the family, and let us say amen. Thank you. You can all sit down.
This does conclude the memorial service on behalf of the family. Thank you for coming.